Okay, quick 2025 NFL season preview, NFC West. And I am going to start out with my biggest hot take that I think contradicts most people's thoughts, especially on the NFC West this season and the overall NFC playoff picture. I do not think the 49ers are going to have a good year. I think last year was really more of what Brock Purdy is. I do not think they should have paid him. I think that honestly thought they should have traded him because they would have been able to get maybe a couple first round picks and cap space. And I think there's just quarterbacks out there that are like, look, he's a great leader. He's got the I, last year when all his guys were out. Like every team obviously goes through offensive injuries. Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Um, Ayuk, Debo Samuel was not good. Trent Williams was out a lot. But I think a quarterback, an elite quarterback, a 40 plus $1 million contract, they need to be able to still play at a high level. And no matter the circumstance, I think Jawan Jennings was great. George Kittle was best year he's had in a while. I think they've lost so many pieces on defense, and I think Brock Purdy needs to be in a damn near perfect situation to succeed. And last year, when he didn't have that, he tried to do too much at times, got the team in trouble. They honestly, they kind of got by more than they should have, and they didn't make the playoffs. I don't know what it is. I did not think Brock Purdy was good at Iowa State. I think he came into a situation where he has one of the best offensive minds in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan. I think he came into a system that perfectly fit his skill set, as well as he had the necessary talent around him to take advantage of that talent and play much better than he actually is. And I say that no disrespect to Brock Purdy. But at the same time, I hate the 49ers fans. I mean, I'm from the Philadelphia area. And, even though I'm not an Eagles fan, that NFC championship game bothered me. Well, all their quarterbacks are hurt. Yeah, well, they couldn't block anything that day. They had no time, regardless of who was at quarterback. They weren't going to win that game regardless. And I think that might be having to deal with people around me talk about that may have influenced me a bit on Brock Purdy. Um, but I think he is one of the most overrated athletes of my lifetime. Him and Derek Jeter. And I still think they finished second in the division. Don't think they make the playoffs, but they're clearly above the bottom two teams in this division. And no matter how bad I think Brock Purdy is and how much they lost on defense, their defense is going to take. They're going to go from being one of the great defenses the last several years to being one of the worst in the NFL. I just think they lost too much outside of Fred Warner. Look, the guys they have back, great. It's not going to be enough. It just isn't. For the team that I think is going to win the division is the Rams. They're loaded. Jared Verse, defensive rookie of the year. I honestly thought that Quinion Mitchell deserved it. I think he's one of the best quarters year last year, but hey, pass rushers win awards. He's unbelievable. I mean, their defensive line is as good as it gets. I think they might honestly have the best defensive line in the league. I think it's Turner, great. I think I'm just high on that group. I think the secondary is going to be able to do their job. I don't think they're the best secondary wise, but I do think that defensive line is so good to the point where it's going to cover up a lot of their mistakes. Yes, and I Stafford's health obviously is the number one most important thing possibly in the NFL this season. Just because if he's having the injuries persist throughout, this could go from being a potentially one seed to last place top five pick in the NFL. I think Devontae Adams is going to help. I think Puka Nakua is going to help. I like Kyron Williams, like Blake Corum. They're a very, very talented team. They have as good a roster as it gets in the NFC outside of the Eagles. And it all depends on Stafford. He needs to stay healthy if they do. Um, I mean, they gave the Eagles their toughest test last year. I think they're really one of two teams in the NFC that I could personally see challenging the Eagles um, to win the conference. Just don't know on the health with the staff for the last few years, so they're kind of tough to judge. But they're going to stay my pick because I'm not high on the other teams at all. Um, so I think it might be a landslide. Um, I the Seahawks. I was a really big Sam Darnold fan last year. I wanted them as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Fortunately, that didn't happen. I didn't mind that they traded away DK Metcalf because that helps the Steelers. I think there is a real lack of talent throughout the roster. I like Witherspoon at corner. I like the other corners they got there. Physical, still that same style physical corner they had with Pete Carroll's teams. I don't trust the offensive line. I don't trust Kenneth Walker to stay healthy. I don't trust Sam Darnold to replicate what he did last year. I just don't see them being like a real threat. I kind of think they've really punted on their roster the last couple years, and it's gonna be a while until they're ready. I mean, I just they could they're in contention. I think for the number one pick, um, and despite being in what I think is a weak division, I just don't see that many wins for them this year. And then the Cardinals, I think ever since Kyler Murray got there, the Cardinals are consistently one of the toughest teams ever to judge heading into each season with a quarterback. I don't trust pew 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 guy. Try that again. I Kyler Murray's dynamic. Injury concerns. He's inconsistent, especially with accuracy. I mean, I love Trey McBride. He is a he might I I think he's gonna get off. He's gonna be a finalist for Offensive Player of the Year. That's my hot take with that. I think he is that good. He's dynamic after the catch. He's really, really, really good, and especially Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know if he's gonna have a breakout year. He underperformed last year. It really depends again on the quarterback, Kyler Murray. If he is consistent and gets the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., then maybe he has a breakout year. But at the same time, Marvin Harrison Jr. has to get open to have a breakout year. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I really do not like their defense at all. I don't think, Josh Sweat, that's the only player I think I like on their defense. They just don't have, I, it might be the weakest division in football. I think the NFC South, like even with the Falcons and Saints, I think being two of the worst teams in the league, I think that there's not much talent in the NFC West overall. Between, especially with the Cardinals and Seahawks, I think they have very thin rosters. I do not trust any. I will say Cardinals. I do like James Conner. Um, just so many thin rosters in the NFC. Again, besides the Eagles, the Rams, and the Packers. I think it's going to be tough for 49ers. It's going to be tough. And everyone, doubted me. But when I'm ready again, you're welcome. Sure, subscribe, like, talk some shit in the comments. I don't mind.